Why is the war in Ukraine NATO's fault? I keep seeing opinion pieces blaming NATO and the US. Are they responsible? I need an unbiased opinion. Krister Sunderland. Question: why is the war in Ukraine NATO's fault? A. It isn't, but thanks for asking. Question: I keep seeing opinion pieces blaming NATO and the US. A. Those opinion pieces are paid for by Russia or written by anti-democratic commentators who would rather betray their own country than support a president from the other party. Question: are they responsible? A. As ye old meme goes. Question: I need an unbiased opinion. A. Okay, here it is. In 1989, after the fall of the Berlin Wall, and during the talks about reuniting Germany, NATO officials stated that only German troops would be stationed in East Germany. This is often quoted as the promise that NATO would not expand eastwards, but says nothing of the sort. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, Russia has been in an existential crisis. Losing its status as a superpower hurt the national pride immensely. And when the former satellite states of the Warsaw Pact aligned themselves with the West rather than continue under the Russian umbrella, it felt like twisting the dagger to many Russians. In the follow-up of the dissolution of the Soviet Union, Ukraine agreed to hand over the former Soviet nukes on its territory to Russia. In return, Russia, UK and US promised to guarantee Ukraine's border and never threaten Ukraine. When Putin got in control, he started to reel in many former Soviet republics under Moscow's control, striking down hard on any opposing ex-Soviet republic and installing friendly dictators. For instance, Chechnya and in Georgia suffered immensely from this. As a response, many former Warsaw Pact countries, plus the former Soviet republics Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia applied for and got membership in NATO. This hurt the Russian national pride even more. When the Parliament of Ukraine wanted to get closer to the West, in particular EU, Ukraine's Russia-friendly autocrat Viktor Yanukovych vetoed the bill. This led to the Maidan Revolution of 2014. Yanukovych fled the country and a new president was elected. Some people comment that the Maidan Revolution was a CIA operation, but it actually was a popular uprising. Russia would have none of it and invaded Crimea. In a referendum which was not only unconstitutional, but also unfair and riddled with fraud and manipulation, Crimea voted to join Russia. Following the invasion and annexation of Crimea, Russia-backed separatists in Donetsk and Luhansk started fighting the local government. When Ukraine fought back, unmarked Russian forces entered Ukraine to push Ukraine's forces back. Because of Crimea, Donetsk and Luhansk, sanctions were imposed on Russia by the West. Then the US elected Donald Trump, who was basically in Putin's pocket, and withheld military aid and money in order to get dirt on Joe Biden, his greatest political rival. He got impeached for it. Everything changed in 2020, when Joe Biden was elected president of the US. That meant that Russia could no longer count on Trump's aid to hold Ukraine down. As a result, Russia built up forces for an invasion in the fall of 2021 around the borders of Ukraine, and even in Belarus with the goodwill of Belarus dictator Alexander Lukashenko. To get a pretext for the invasion, Russia argued that there was a genocide going on in Luhansk and Donetsk. There wasn't. There were a lot of victims of the civil war, that Nazis were in control of Ukraine. They were not. Zelensky is a Jew, and his grandparents fought the Nazis in WW2, that Zelensky was a corrupt drug addict. He isn't a drug addict, and he ran on an anti-corruption platform, and that Ukraine did not have any right to exist anyway, but had always been part of Russia. In the week before the invasion, Russia put a list of demands on Ukraine which Russia knew would be impossible for Ukraine to accept. The list included that Finland and Sweden must never apply for NATO membership, and that NATO must pull back all forces from Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, and Poland, demands that were outside Ukraine's control. And on February 24th, despite a massive diplomatic effort from Joe Biden, Emmanuel Macron, Olaf Scholz, and other Western leaders, Russia invaded anyway, using the excuse that Russia's demands were not met. So the responsibility of the war in Ukraine lies solely on Russia. They decided on the invasion, built for it, did nothing to stop it, but put up impossible conditions for not invading, and eventually triggered the invasion. 30.7K views. View 3,141 upvotes.